South County Democratic Club on February 1st, 2016. We met here at Colony South Hotel. The meeting was called to order at 7:13 p.m. There were 45 persons in attendance. We had opening remarks by Dr. Dula, as he always does. He gave a tribute for Black History Month and welcomed special guests, one of whom I see arrived again, Ms. Joyce Duckett from the National Council of Negro Women, Sidney Harrison, our county clerk, former state senator Gloria Lawler, and former delegate Veronica Turner were in attendance. Our guest speaker that evening was Congressman Van Hollen, but he hadn't arrived by that time. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited. We had the minutes approved with one correction received from our member Barbara Taha, who's also on our membership committee. We had the treasurer's report from Miranda Jackson, and as you heard earlier, our beginning balance was $821.72. The treasurer's report was followed by a legislative report named Daniel Bryant reporting on redistricting. Just due to time, I'm not going to go into those details. But again, if you need the copy of the minutes, we can make those available to you. Our first guest speaker of the night was Mr. Sidney Harrison, clerk of the court. He discussed the work of the clerk's office, and the office is upgrading its IT department and planning for transition to an automated system. He talked about using microfiche and microfilm, something that I haven't seen since high school myself, so you know that we need some updating here in the county. He said his biggest challenges were the number of foreclosure filings, which is approximately between 300 to 500 a month. And however, they have made excellent progress and are caught up on all child support collection with tax and federal liens. And he mentioned one good program that his office is having, which is an internship program. And those students, if you're a parent and you have students that may be interested in internship program, he directed you to call his assistant, Ms. Kimberly Lyles. Her number is 301-952-3130. Our second guest speaker of the evening was Congressman Chris Van Hollen. He is a Democrat, obviously running for the U.S. Senate to replace our current sitting senator, Senator Barbara Mikulski, who has decided that she's not going to run for office and retire. He gave his goal, which is to keep and gain seats in the United States Senate, and he described how the county was losing funding because we don't have our Democratic candidates in office, particularly in statewide office like Governor Hogan. And he talked about maintaining some of the things that our president just alluded to, some of the progress that we've made under President Obama with the Economic Recovery Act, criminal justice reform, Wall Street reform, preserving Obamacare, and building the economy through raising minimum wages and making college affordable. His presentation was followed by a question and answer period, and then we had some announcements. We heard from Ingrid Turner's brother, Mr. Henry Turner, who gave some more information about being a co-owner of the Marlton Golf Course and highlighted the changes in coming events to the course. And we really do encourage, and one of the signature pieces under Dr. Dula's leadership has been to really encourage the local businesses. We have met at other establishments for our meetings just so that people know where these businesses are and to make sure that you patronize them. So now that the weather's getting warmer, those of you who like to get out on the links, please be sure to visit Marlton Golf Course. They also do event planning, so if you want to have an event or meeting, it's a great place. I've actually already had a meeting there myself. Ingrid Turner was here last month as well and announced that she was running for circuit court judge. We just heard that re-emphasized by our Vice President, Dr. Miller. And finally, Joyce Duckett of the National Council of Negro Women emphasized that they were holding their annual dinner dance benefiting scholarships on April the 8th. We had our membership report by our chair, Ms. Lisa Proctor, who indicated we had 74 members and are still growing, and encourage our first-time visitors and first-time attendees to join that night. And the meeting was adjourned at 8:55 p.m. So Any corrections that anyone else noted? If we're not hearing none, we'd like to move that the minutes be approved as read. May I get a motion?
So moved, Madam Chair.
So move the second.
Second.
Who's it?
Give me your name again. Shine.
You with the hotel. Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, minutes carried. So Dr. Dula asked me to do really quickly in honor of Women's History Month. I decided to highlight, since we're in a presidential election, I decided to highlight Miss Shirley Chisholm. All right, so most of you know who she is, but she was the first African-American woman elected to the United States Congress and represented New York's 12th Congressional District for 7 terms from 1969 to 1983. In 1972, she became the first majority black candidate for the President of the United States and the first woman ever to run for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. We have come a long way. But what I like most about her and what I'm hearing along the campaign trail still resonates with me in terms of our current Democratic candidates, Hillary Rodham Clinton and even Bernie Sanders, talking about making sure that we take care of the least of these, that we take care of that 1% and not the 99%. And that's what her, when she was in office in New York and when she was running for president, she made sure that her campaign and her platform was to look after and to make sure that the persons who are not in power, persons who don't have a voice, that she would be the voice. And so as we kick off Women's History Month, we want to reflect on all of the great work women have done in this county. Hester King, who worked at the NAACP, and her husband, and then raised her son Arthur King, who was actually the first African American to be elected to the General Assembly. So, great women even of this county. We want to make sure that we recognize that those are the women whose shoulders we stand on and are examples for us as candidates, as office holders, as community activists. And with that, Dr. Dula, that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tamara, David Brown. And moving right along, we're going to ask Mr. Nathaniel Bryant, our legislative chair, to come up and talk to us about what, gerrymandering?
Yes. Okay, sir. Good evening. Truly a pleasure to see everyone here this evening. We have a very full agenda, so I will get directly to the heart of my briefing, and that is the status of the efforts to redistrict the state of Maryland. This evening I would like to talk about House Bill 458. I'd like to opine for just one moment about its progress. Now, don't worry, I won't be long. I did a cursory review of the bill, and the first 2 pages tell volumes, I feel, as to how the bill will proceed. This bill was submitted by the Speaker of the House by request of the administration. In other words, the governor asked the Speaker to propose this bill. 44 delegates, majority of them Republicans, signed on as co-sponsors. The bill, if passed, will create a General Assembly Congressional Legislative and Redistricting Commission. The commission will draft and submit to the General Assembly reports as to how the district and congressional lines will be drawn in the state of Maryland. In order for the bill to be passed, it will require 2/3 of the members of both houses. Now, there are 141 delegates and 47 senators. Now, my math may be slightly off, but that tells me that they need roughly 94 votes in the House and 31 in the Senate. Now, keep in mind, 44 have already committed And over the past few weeks, I've heard several Democrats that say they would be in favor of this bill. I cannot stress enough that this is not an ordinary bill. This bill proposes to amend the Constitution of the state of Maryland. And as such, it has to go through certain procedural processes. Now, if the bill is passed by the full House, it then has to go to what the bill says, the qualified voters of the state for their adoption or rejection. Now, I don't know the governor, never met him, but I would give him the benefit of the doubt that he would not establish a commission, staff it with professionals, elected officials, academia, have them travel all over the state, listen to citizens who almost in unison say that the method of drawing the district lines in the state of Maryland need to be reformed. I don't think the governor or the speaker would put themselves in a potentially embarrassing situation where a bill that they co-sponsored does not get out of committee. I feel that the actual battleground for this piece of legislation would be the full vote in the Maryland Senate. Basically, who has the power, Mike Miller or Governor Hogan? And so now we come to the question, what are we going to do about it? The first thing I think we have to do is define who we is. We just the members of the South County Democratic Club, or are we a growing coalition of individuals and organizations in Prince George's County, Montgomery, Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and beyond? A couple Sundays ago, it's no football, so Sunday afternoon, I'm flipping the channels and I landed on PBS. And to my delight, they were showing the full series of Eyes on the Prize. I consider myself to be a junior history buff, so I took great pleasure in having the opportunity to see the old film footage, to hear from the people who made our history. I took special note when they talked about the Montgomery boycott and how they organized it. And they interviewed a gentleman, I really forget his name, but the manner in which he spoke caused me, and I'm sure anyone who heard him, to believe that he was probably on the board. Committed, dedicated, and professional. He may have collected the dues or took the notes for the next month's meeting. He said that when they first got started, that all they did was to come together and call people that they knew around Montgomery who had cars and trucks, and they set up a loose network of pickup and drop-off points where they could take people to the outlying areas of the city. Well, we know the rest of the story, but I thought by seeing that we could use a similar tactic here. We could basically inform and raise the issue of redistricting reform in the state of Maryland. Now, however this issue plays out in the legislation, we have to be cognizant of one point, that it is a very serious issue. It goes to the fundamentals of our democratic process. We have to be involved in this. Not that we would have any definitive outcome, but we have to be a record as being knowing about and involved in the process. By advocating support of House Bill 458, we are merely asking that the question be given to the people to answer. Redistricting reform is a clean issue, one that can be argued on its moral and democratic merits. Additionally, for us, in the process of addressing this issue, we, per your definition, can establish an increased organization, a network, if you will, to address this and future issues. Now, we don't have to impress anybody with our prose. We can be very succinct in our message and say that we merely want you as a legislature to support HB 458. We want this matter to be proposed to the qualified voters of this state so that they can determine how the political lines will be drawn. So having said that, I would just simply propose these simple administrative processes, things that we can do within the next couple of weeks. We can send mass emails or bulk